Yes, I'm Cees van Dok. I work like a stone's throw from this place here at the headquarters of TomTom here in Amsterdam, and I'm heading up all the product design and user experience groups within all of our consumer products. And as I have a hunch that most of the service design output usually manifests itself in the form of apps and webs, I wanted to bring a little bit of an angle from kind of our corner of the world, which is very much about hardware and hardware products. And one of our major challenges as a typical product hardware company is to actually stay relevant, become more relevant again in a reality that is even more and more driven by general hardware platforms and software and services in the background. So that is the angle of the talk I wanna highlight today. And that is because I often say, like, well, maybe software is not so simple and easy to innovate and ship, but adding hardware to that angle actually makes it increasingly more difficult. And I've learned that the hard way, of which I'm going to show you a few examples. I'm not going to do a show of hands, but I expect or assume quite a lot of people here are familiar with the TomTom brand. It was in the 2007, 2008 kind of era that this product made our brand actually a household name across the globe. Actually in such a way that the brand TomTom became almost a synonym for car navigation. When people talk about car navigation in their car, they still refer to, oh, my TomTom is saying this, my TomTom is doing that, while the software is probably coming from a different provider. The funny thing is, as a little known fact and against popular belief, that this product is still very relevant for our business today. So as of today, we still innovate quite a lot in aftermarket single-purpose navigation devices. But we do a lot more, and we actually, as a typical hardware company, we shifted many of our activities towards making software and delivering services. And this is a good example of that. So currently we're one of the kind of key enablers to help car manufacturers across the globe to make autonomous driving a reality. What we do as a company, we provide high definition maps, so maps that have centimeter precision of the road network, and we provide 3D models of all these structures and objects around the road network. So the car can actually, by understanding its surrounding, can get to kind of centimeter precision where it's actually at. So by combining the sensors in the car, the camera, the radars and all the sensors on board, together with this detailed map data and a 3D model of reality, cars can position themselves very precisely. And more than just positioning, they can also look ahead. So by having a great detailed map on board, the car can plot various different scenarios about what the decisions to take next. And we're a key enabler to provide that service. Another aspect of what we're doing today is we help cities make smarter. One of our key kind of assets, services at TomTom is real-time traffic. So we sample literally trillions of data points every day about locations. So we get data from smartphones, from connected cars, from navigation devices that are on the road. And all the location data is centered and we turn it into live traffic service. Not just live traffic service, but also historic data on traffic. So we provide cities with a lot of knowledge around where the hotspots are around traffic, but also around accidents, or what roads people tend to take to drive around traffic, for example, but also to see how the flow inside and outside of the city is going on a day-to-day basis. And that helps like local government and road network infrastructure managers to make much smarter decisions about how to plan their infrastructure in an ever-increasing kind of pressure on mobility. The third leg of kind of new things we do at TomTom is about fitness and healthness. So we made it our goal to make people in general kind of enable them with living a healthier life and become more fit. Obviously, health concerns, obesity, there are a lot of issues around kind of modern day society, and people become much more aware about their health and fitness. And we're trying to support that by inspiring, by motivating, but also by giving products and tools that make it much easier to get going and also to keep going in the long run. So motivation to make running, cycling, going into the great outdoors a much more engaging and nice experience than what you get today is something we do in the health and fitness area. But this is kind of an essential picture for our original success, and I think still a kind of a leading principle in basically everything we do. Because the success of the original navigation device really came from moving from the picture to the left to the picture on the right. So by removing friction and hurdles in an existing user experience where people just trying to get things done and package that all into a nice, kind of easy to use, unified, fit for purpose product is actually a great kind of guiding principle to make any good product. And we still apply that principle today. Because consumer products is still at the heart of our business. And again, it's a challenging time where so much value, user value, is being captured in phones and tablets and general purpose devices. To stay relevant as a product maker requires quite a bit of cleverness. So I'll zoom in a bit more on the specific challenges that we face and also some of the opportunities that we see as a result of that. So this has been a reality for many product companies like us and others, that they've been made redundant by a clever software solution that just replaces the functionality of a physical object. And the list is literally endless. Like so many kind of companies went purely out of business because they got made redundant by a smart app. So one device to kill them all, in a way. On the other hand, that also gives opportunity. Another challenge is what we call like multi-device continuity. So I think one of the more beautiful aspects of cloud-based services is that experiences and activities can follow you all day long, no matter what device you have in front of you. So you can easily pick up a task on one device where you left off on another device, like services like Netflix or the typical e-readers out there, or Apple with its continuity communication service are all great examples of that. And it creates a certain expectation of the user experience that your brand or your service or your activity is basically always with you. Now the challenge from a hardware product point of view is that it's really hard to fit in these kind of ecosystems, because making your device continuously connected to the network is actually quite challenging. It's expensive, requires subscription, or it requires nearby Wi-Fi or phone dependency. It's just very difficult. And another angle is just the raw computing horsepower on devices, which is often very limited. Like most devices and product need to be produced in a very cost-effective way. And getting the same level of fidelity of experience on products is just much more difficult to compete with modern-day generic electronics. That said, our focus on like 24/7 connectivity and a smartphone-centric life also gives a lot of opportunity, because we got so used and attached to what our phones can bring us that we take a lot of silly context for granted. So we see people using their phones in all sorts of contexts where it's really not so appropriate, or it's a bit clumsy, or you look like a fool when running with your phone on your arm. So there's also good opportunity to kind of just, observe people's behavior, especially with phones, and try to find like nice little niches to fill them. Another aspect and an opportunity is, I think, in general, in more tangible products. So the more we see services go to kind of a software and a screen-based solution only, there actually becomes a new opportunity for hardware products. Because as soon as you can give your brand a tangible physical component, that creates a whole different dynamic between customers and your service and your brand. Suddenly there's much more stickiness. Like the downside of an app or a web service, that as soon as there's one little flaw or one little hurdle in the user experience, boom, your customer is off next to your competitor who has a different solution or a better solution. There's just very little customer loyalty and stickiness to services. And hardware can make a big difference there, Because as soon as a customer can feel and touch and smell your brand through a piece of plastic or another material, it creates a much more kind of engaging relationship between you as a service provider and your customer. And that's also one of the reasons why you see companies like Google and Amazon and all the big traditional software players actually trying so hard to move in the hardware product space. Not just to deliver an end-to-end perfect customer journey, because that's obviously one of the other side effects, but also to really draw you into the brand, into your experience, and that's for create long-term customer loyalty. So I want to give you just two examples of how we took these kind of opportunities and challenges into practice. One of them failed miserably, and the other is hopefully set out for success, but it's too early to call. So in 2012, and this was about like a year before Uber kind of made it clear that they were going to do a $1 billion investment to roll out their service globally, we had high hopes we could claim a stake in the taxi world. I'm sure many of the people from Amsterdam would subscribe that the taxi experience at the time, and actually still today, is a far from pleasant one, and creates a lot of anxiety by, mostly by drivers, but even by taxi drivers, or by customers, but even by taxi drivers as well. So we saw a good opportunity to create a better product, really based on some of the experiences that we already had. We knew already very well how to get a car from one place in town to another in the most efficient way around traffic. And we also had very good experience of running a large-scale, real-time service as a backend. So that was a good opportunity. And we looked at that space through customers' eyes, so through the taxi customer, through the driver, the taxi driver, but also looking at new personas, or relatively new personas, like people at the front desk of hotels, bars, and restaurants that often need transportation for their customers. And for each of these profiles, we kind of looked at the core needs, typical anxieties, what is making a person uncertain in such a pretty complex transaction as a taxi ride. And long story short, like a half-year design time with a very agile team, we turned this into a real product, a real running service. So with the data backend, we made an application for the taxi customers where they can plan their ride, define their pickup point and the destination, as well as time of pickup. And from the app, customers could see taxis nearby that were willing to take their ride. For the taxi drivers, we just took a standard navigation device and added a layer of application to that, where taxi drivers could see incoming requests of people nearby, where they could bid on certain jobs. While they were delivering their former kind of passenger, they could already see the marketplace of new requests. So this was a way to also take out kind of the back end and the middleman from the taxi industry. And lastly, we created a hardware product, a connected one-click button device that we could install in restaurants and hotels and bars. And just a single click on the button was a guarantee to deliver a taxi at the doorstep 5 minutes later. So quite a beautiful infrastructure. We built all of these components and rolled them out in Amsterdam as a trial. Worked really well, but as said, too little and too late. Like we started only learning about the complexity of running a taxi product, and at that time, the big disruptors coming from the US were already hard on their way, and as you know, completely disrupted the taxi landscape. So moving on to kind of related, but kind of different, a more recent example of how a new hardware product can live in a kind of software-driven ecosystem. This is a relatively new navigation device that we've designed for scooters and motor riders. And you can think of it as a smartwatch on your handlebar. And the whole idea about TomTom Vio is that the screen on your device is only there to support all the scenarios that you may need from your phone while you're riding a scooter. So seeing where you need to go, get a caller ID for people that are calling, messages, notifications, control of your music can all be done through a simple terminal device while you keep your phone in your pocket. And it's a very dumb device. Like it's only really a screen with a bit of logic inside, because the engine of the device is all in your phone. So the phone generates the UI, the views, the animations, all the transitions, and over Bluetooth sends them to the device, and vice versa. Every tap or kind of swipe that you make on the device is sent back to the phone, and that generates the corresponding actions. So it's kind of clever thinking of how kind of a phone-centric system and a rich app on the phone and a very lightweight kind of simple piece of consumer electronics can actually suddenly enable a lot of new scenarios. Because scooter drivers taking out their phone at the traffic light is really not that great of an idea. So as I said, like, you can keep the device or your phone in the pocket, because your device itself also is a fully interactive kind of remote control for your phone. So picking a favorite destination or a recent destination, again picking up a phone call, controlling your music, you can do that all from the device while never having to touch your phone itself. So those are just a couple of examples of how at TomTom we're trying to really find kind of new user scenarios, new opportunities, kind of new modern problems that can be addressed by a clever designed product. So I hope that gave you a good of insight, and thank you very much.